I'm Katie Cowan, and this is the Creative Boom Podcast. If you've been running a design studio for quite some time now, and with much success, does it feel like you've been doing so for many years, or do you feel like you're only just getting started? This was the curious question I posed to Max Ottignon, a co-founder of Ragged Edge in London. Launched nearly 15 years ago with friend Matt Bland, the pair wanted to create a branding agency for people who care less about how things are and more about how things could be. That is, anyone with the conviction to challenge the status quo. It's a mission that's done them proud. Today, the studio is behind fresh identities for the likes of Papier, Mindful Chef, Laka and East London Liquor Company. It's won many awards, and there's a team of nearly 40 talented designers, strategy directors, 3D artists, digital specialists, and writers, all of whom the studio calls change makers. So what does this change mean in design? And what lessons has Max learnt over 15 years of running a studio that wants to do things differently? What's it been like growing a team from global economic crisis to global pandemic? And how does Ragged Edge stand out in an increasingly competitive industry? Does Max even feel like the studio is fully established now? Or is there still work to do? I sat down with Max to find out more. A tall yet quiet character, there's a humbleness to Max that I found quite surprising, particularly in an industry often renowned for its large egos. There's an eagerness to push forward, to do the right thing, and to create something that puts people before profit. Perhaps even leave a legacy that's about meaningful change and making a difference, more than anything else. Stay with us. Do you ever wish that you could turn your iPad into a drawing tablet by mirroring your favourite Mac or PC desktop apps? Astropad Studio is an app that does just that. It's a clever solution for professional artists designed to give the flexibility of an Apple Pencil combined with the full desktop power of software like Photoshop and Illustrator. One happy customer is London artist Maragaya.
I recently had the opportunity to design a mural for Saatchi & Saatchi's head office in central London. And it was a mural that was 2.4 meters wide by 4 stories high. It was the most obscure space that I could think of or that I could pick for this brief within their offices. And I used Astropad Studio to draw the mural digitally on a canvas, which I then translated into this mural on the site. So Astropad was a very, very important part of the design process for me, being able to draw by hand on my iPad and translate it onto my screen, which I was mirroring from my iPad. So I was using both my desktop screen and my iPad to design this mural, which was a very obscure size, and I could zoom in and out very carefully and cleanly using Astropad.
If, like Maragaya, you're ready to take your creative workflow to the next level, you can start your 30-day free trial of Astropad Studio today. Plus save 10% on your first year when you enter the promo code BOOM at checkout. That applies to whether you opt for a monthly or annual subscription. Visit astropad.com to get started. First of all, like with any journey, let's start at the very beginning. And tell me what, brought this to life. What was the reason behind it?
Yeah, so I started out working for a below-the-line ad agency, so doing the equivalent of like digital marketing, which back then was direct marketing, so putting things through people's letterboxes.
Nice.
Which was, and I'd sort of gone into it expecting I was going into work in advertising and not quite knowing the difference between above the line and below the line, and it was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, I suppose it is kind of a shock to the system when you sort of first thrown into the world of work and don't really know what to expect.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
kind of a cruel awakening, isn't it?
That's dedefinitely an accurate way of describing my experience. And it was working for this big company in Omnicom agency.
Yeah.
And it's just quite overwhelming.
Yes.
And all the preconceptions I had about going into work in the creative industry and all the things that the sort of idealistic point of view that I had on the world as a student all sort of evaporated pretty quickly.
Oh, bless. So you started off very enthusiastically like the rest of us, and then was eventually battened down and soul destroyed, and you thought, right, I've got to do something different here.
Yeah, exactly that. And I ended up leaving. I was an account handler, so I was an account exec there. And really, I knew that I wanted to be doing the creative and
the good stuff.
it was the bit that I felt like I had the talent for.
Yeah.
And it became clear over a period of time that sort of stretched a couple of years, really, that it was going to be hard for me to get a job as a creative without, things like portfolios.
Oh gosh. And always a difficult sort of obstacle to overcome if you've not got the work in the first place to...
Yes, absolutely. I had nothing.
Oh.
So I ended up badgering my friends and my friends of friends to see if they'd give me work. And I got lucky because a few of those were starting companies.
Yeah.
And the companies needed brand identities.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when it just sort of started to come.
Yeah.
And then I met my co-founder, Matt, who's sitting behind my left shoulder.
Oh, yes, yes.
And his expertise at the time was as a developer. So he was.
So that's a good mix, isn't it? The design and the development.
Yeah, it was, and it really was back then as well.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Because you will know, and this would have been round about sort of 2006, 2007, sometime around. So we started Ragged Edge in 2007. I met him a little bit before that.
Yeah.
And at the time, it felt like there was suddenly this real demand and gap in the market for design-led websites.
Yeah.
So everybody needed a website, but the people that were designing and building websites didn't really understand the principles of design.
Yeah, exactly. And it felt like kind of, I suppose it wasn't quite the Wild West. Things had moved on quite a little bit by then, but there was still so much opportunity, and it felt like a really exciting time if you were in that kind of realm.
Yeah.
And so many businesses out there, hundreds of thousands that just had no clue. So you could sort of take what they already had and give them something absolutely amazing. So you just had that huge job satisfaction of really blowing their expectations with what was possible, I suppose.
Yeah, that's it. And there seemed to be relatively few people who could do it. So the combination that Matt and I had together, and that's something I've really learned, is that, you can be good at one thing, but then in the creative world, if you can combine with somebody else, it always makes it better.
Definitely. And here in London, it's just like, dead easy, isn't it, really, compared to, you've got this such a great hub, and it's, definitely leading the way in many sort of areas. As much as I love Manchester, sorry, Manchester. But yeah, you just, it feels like you're in the right place at the right time, and you really landed on something that was a good combination. And
yes,
here we are 15 years later in this amazing office space, which I'm looking out over now, with all of this team of people busily looking at their screens and dreaming up, the next brands. I mean, how does that feel, like, given, the inevitable suffering and pain that you've gone through to get here?
Yeah, there's definitely been some suffering and pain. It feels great. I think, like we talked about this earlier, but for me, it feels like we're still learning and building, and we haven't done what we want to do yet.
Right.
And that, to me, is exciting, and what gets me up in the morning.
Yeah.
It feels like an opportunity every day.
Do you feel like you're only just getting going, even though you've been going for a while?
100%.
Yeah. That's
yeah.
reassuring to the rest of us listening to this, reassuring to me, because, things do take time to build. There's no real overnight success. And particularly when you're in this kind of, playing field that is London, and now, obviously the world, because we have gone global over the last 20 years. So there's all these things happening. You survived how was the global recession for you? Because I went through that as well. Was that good for you? Obviously horrible at the time, but good for you thereafter? Because was it like where we were up north, that people were sort of, oh, okay, we don't want the big agency anymore, we want to work with a small studio?
Yeah, so you're talking about 2007, 2008.
Yeah, all the way back then.
Yeah, which recession? Yes, it was both. At the time, it was kind of terrifying, but at the same time, I didn't know enough to be scared.
Yeah.
Or certainly didn't know the level to which it would affect us.
Yeah.
And like you said, like in some ways, it presented lots of opportunities because people were a bit more willing to take risks on people like what Ragged Edge was then, who had a bit less proven track record, but also came with a slightly lower price tag as a consequence.
Yeah, and I suppose, having sort of gone through all of that, you would have learnt lessons from those days, but nothing could have prepared any of us for what happened in 2020.
No.
That was just insane.
Yeah, and the contrast was mad because obviously back in 2007 there wasn't much to lose, and so there was never any. I think at the time we maybe had one or two employees in addition to Matt and myself.
Yeah,
and so we didn't feel like we had a lot to lose. And we had everything to gain.
Sure.
Whereas this time round in
How many
COVID,
staff?
it felt like it. Well, I think at the time it was between 35 and 40.
That is,
which was quite intimidating.
Yes, how do you sleep at night? I feel like I've just walked in here and I'm now grilling you, but it's.
I actually sleep okay. I go to bed very tired every night, and that seems to do the trick.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I suppose the only reason, and I think I need to sort of put a disclaimer on what I just asked, is because I did actually run an agency myself for a while, and I found it, very intimidating. Just having, I think we got up to about 4 or 5 staff, maybe 6. I can't remember. It's all a distant memory now, but that used to keep me awake at night because I was very worried about looking after all these people's salaries. And
you feel it, don't you?
You really do feel it as a business owner. And I think it cuts deep when, some people you employ don't understand that. I'm not suggesting anybody who's ever worked for Ragged Edge isn't, grateful or sincere or lovely. But sometimes it can be frustrating as a business owner because you have to make such difficult decisions. And you have to go through these awful things like pandemics, which you just can never plan for. But for the most part, it looks like you've come through it unscathed.
Yeah, we definitely picked up a few bruises along the way. But I think, you talk about the team, and we had to make some, lots of difficult decisions all along the way. But I think the only reason we made it through was because the team that we had and still have they were incredibly understanding. They really were extremely trusting of the decisions we made. Yeah. And they really committed to getting us through this as a group. So it never felt like Matt and I were on our own making these decisions and everyone else was pushing back. Yeah. It was never like that.
No.
And we felt incredible. We were incredibly lucky to have this team around us that just did everything they possibly could
to keep you going and keep your head above water.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was like that, particularly in the early months.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it was scary. But I think that's probably testament to you and Matt in that you've kind of built a culture here where everybody feels like a family, because culture is a word that we throw about.
Yes.
I kind of get it. I understand the sort of the value behind it, but it's like different for everybody. I think across any studio, everybody will have a different way of bringing everybody together and making it feel like a family and what you all stand for. I mean, if I could sort of ask you to sum up what the culture is here, what is it that makes Ragged Edge such a lovely place to work? As somebody who I just met when I came into the reception said immediately, she said she loves it here and has come from somewhere in New York. I think she was working for Collins.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
big agency, and she comes to work for you.
Yeah, and that's really nice to hear.
Phew.
Yeah, phew. I think when we started, it wasn't something that was necessarily intentional. It was, and the culture grew as a consequence, not just of Matt and I, but the team that we brought together early on.
Yeah.
And that culture just started to evolve and emerge, and I think it came from our sort of values as human beings.
Yeah.
And then as it evolved. I think we've had to become a bit more, as we've grown and different sorts of people have come into the business, and we've had to just sort of curate it a little bit more.
Yeah.
We've had to be a bit more intentional about that. And to the extent that today, so earlier, just before you came in, we were doing these series of workshops looking at defining what we're calling a people pledge.
People pledge.
Yeah,
like
which is all about, so for us, one of the most important things at Ragged Edge is that we think about things like people first.
Yes.
Which is, it sounds obvious.
Yeah, but all the best ideas are, aren't they?
Yeah. But it really is fundamental to the decision making we have as an agency. And so, again, as we get more and more intentional about that, we're trying to sort of make sure it's super clear and get everybody understanding and bought into the same approach that we believe in, and just making sure that that goes two ways. So it's not just from the top down.
Yes. So everybody's on board with what you're trying to build.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tapping into those values. When you say people first, forgive me if I sound dumb.
No.
What does that exactly mean?
So I think we've always tried, when we've had any kind of decision to make, we've always tried to make it from the perspective of the people, the team, first, and do what's right for the team before we do anything else.
So, people before profits, people before business.
Yeah. And it's not to say that, we don't need to make a profit, that we don't need to look after clients, all that side of things, but it's just, it's a framework to look at the world through.
Nice way to do business.
Yeah, and I think like sometimes when you're making decisions, and then we have this conversation about like resourcing, so how we, what projects we put the team on at what points.
Great.
And it's easy to suddenly start thinking of people as boxes on a spreadsheet or something like that. And you always have to remember there's a person at the end of that box. And the decisions you make are affecting real people.
Yeah.
And we come across that on all the decisions that we make. And it's just really important that you think about it from a people first.
Oh gosh, absolutely. No, it comes across. Everybody looks really happy. There's nobody sort of tied to their desk as far as I can see.
I hope not. No, at least the restraints are well concealed.
There's a dungeon somewhere down there, the naughty corner or something. But
and that's been an interesting, like you talk about tied to your desk, but it's been an interesting journey that we've had to go on.
Well, this is what I was going to ask next, because when everybody was, isolated and forced to stay at home, how did you sort of? I mean, I know how I dealt with it, but it's just interesting I know how a lot of us changed and adapted really quickly, but it's just so interesting to hear like how a design studio like yours coped with that initial huge shock. Oh shit, what are we going to do now?
We weren't ready for it.
No.
And I remember, one of the big issues, there were some very practical issues. The server didn't work. The server was in a room.
Right.
And so if you weren't able to connect to that room via a wire, you couldn't access the server.
Right. That's a big
so we had
problem.
to sort some practical things like that and figure out all the practical stuff. But obviously the real challenge was more about how people adapted to that. And,
yes.
It was very unfamiliar. Up until then, everybody had been in the studio 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And so it was quite intimidating. Do you know what though? That bit of it ended up not being that complicated.
Yes.
And we didn't really have to change much of what we're doing in terms of processes, in terms of how we worked. And again, I think that's just like testament to the team.
Yeah.
They just made it work.
They just got on with it and everybody rolled their sleeves up, so to speak.
Yeah. And then, so really that like in the short term, that was okay. In the longer term is when you started to see the problems, because I think we were sort of trading on all the sort of social capital, I suppose, that we'd built up as an agency, and all the relationships that we'd built face to face.
Yeah.
And then as we started to have been remote for a longer and longer time, you started to see the cracks because people you start to lose that people first approach because people are just communicating via Slack, and
it's really difficult.
Yeah, it just becomes a bit more almost like transactional.
Yes.
Can I have this? Can you send me this? Please, could you change this?
Not. Would you like a cup of tea?
Yeah.
Would you like some of my chocolate fudge?
Yes. Yeah. There was no chocolate fudge being passed around over Slack.
Or that little kind of, those nice moments you share in the office that you just take for granted, and then when it's all taken away, it's like, how do you replicate that in the digital world? And so I always find it really interesting to hear what people, say to my next question, which is, obviously all of us are thinking about flexible working. Mm-hmm. I would think that in the creative community, yourself included, you've been doing that for a while anyway. Mm-hmm. I guess what I'm trying to sort of say really badly is, are you glad to be back in the office? Is the general feeling that everyone's happy to be back? Or have you found that actually you're going to shift the way you work a little bit? You're going to allow people to work from home a bit more? I mean, what's the appetite from the people? If it's people first, mm-hmm. have they had very much a say in how you sort of operate, I guess?
Very much, yeah, they have. I think we always believed that the physical studio culture is really important to Ragged Edge, and I don't think that hasn't really ever changed. And there was always the intent that we would come back to the studio in some way, shape or form. I think that was never going to be of course there were going to be changes.
Yeah.
And I think what's been really interesting for me is we spent a lot of time talking to the team. We did kind of anonymous surveys. We did one-to-one conversations. We did
anonymous surveys.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a good idea.
It's always quite scary those because
terrifying.
But it's really important to get people's real points of view
without fear of being told off.
Yeah, exactly. And you can obviously say, you can give the truth, which we need to hear the truth. It's much better that
the truth hurts, but
it's
necessary.
Yeah, totally. And what was so interesting from that point of view was everybody, the diversity of opinion was wild.
Yeah.
So nobody really didn't want to come back to the studio at all. So there was no one thought that we should just abandon the studio.
Yeah.
But beyond that, there was sort of every different flavour of opinion, and all completely valid.
I bet they were, but it opens up a can of worms, doesn't it? Because then you're like, okay, I've got 30 odd people here with all very different ideas of how things should be, and then it's like figuring out. But then you sort of step back and you think, well, actually, I do have to read all of these, and I do have a responsibility as an employer to make sure everybody's happy and everybody feels like their voice is being heard. It's tough.
It's really hard. Because you do have that you 100% have that responsibility, but you also have the responsibility to make the right decision for the business.
Yeah.
And to create something that really feels sustainable. And
yes.
And that isn't necessarily the same as what people want on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
So juggling those two.
It's about meeting in the middle, isn't it? You've got to find a nice compromise. You could sort of say, okay, well, we can do that, but we can't really do that because of these sort of discrepancies. So we have to sort of find a way to make that, operate in a way that suits us, the business, and you, the employee.
Totally. I suppose the real challenge that we've realised is that meeting in the middle, it's like with creative. Like if you do the consensus view, you get something that's very watered down that doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same with remote versus in-person working as well. It works really, really well if it's fully remote. It works really, really well if it's fully in person.
Oh, interesting.
But the middle is kind of sometimes, if you don't get it right, it's the worst of both worlds.
Right, I get it.
And we definitely had that where we were asking people to sort of try and come in a bit, and people would come in, like a designer would come in and we'd say, you're going to get this great experience coming to work because you're going to work with all these different, collaborative work and stuff. Yeah. And they would come in and they'd just be on their own. Oh. And then be on Zoom calls all day.
And so there was no point in them coming into the office.
Yeah. And so they came away, thinking, what on earth was the point of that?
Good grief. That is interesting. I would have never thought of that. But so now that where are we now? When is this podcast coming out? I think this is coming out in July.
Okay.
So we're in sort of May now, nearly, and when did everything? God, I don't know what year it is, what month it is. I'm sure everybody feels
really
the
long,
same. It's just been a
day, doesn't it?
Strange old couple of years. So, when did you start coming back into the office? When did it feel like the sort of switch back to sort of not I hate the word back to normal, the new normal, whatever.
Yeah.
When did it feel like pre-pandemic, or hasn't it quite got there yet?
It definitely doesn't feel like pre-pandemic, and I don't think we would want to go back to that. So you can see out here now, this space has got enough room for 40 people, and I think today there's probably 15, 20 people tops.
Wow, okay.
And so you can imagine what 40 people would feel in here, and it would actually be quite...
intense.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So we've had a few days where everyone's been in.
Great.
But I think the new normal, as you say, like, it is a lot more flexible.
Yes.
And I think that's good.
Yeah.
And I think we're coming towards now a balance where I would like to think in the next couple of months we'll end up somewhere that will be sustainable.
Right.
So I don't think we're quite there yet, and we're still figuring some stuff out.
Great.
But next couple of months, and I feel sort of fairly comfortable that we'll have got to some principles that we're all comfortable with and are going to be long term. They're going to work for the agency and the people.
Have you noticed a difference in output?
I think
are people happier?
So a lot of people, in terms of the output, I think we could definitely do the work from home.
Yeah.
It almost wasn't the problem. Like, maybe some stuff took longer. Maybe it was, you just didn't get a read on work as a team quicker. It took longer to get a read on work as a team.
Sure.
But if you speak to people individually, they feel more productive.
Yeah, that's good.
Individually, there's a question mark as to whether the agency is more collectively more productive, but definitely individually, people, it feels maybe more, you're getting more done. I think one of the big things that came back was that from a kind of mental health point of view, people really liked being able to take those days at home and be able to focus, not have to worry about the commute. We try and avoid late working, but when people do end up working late, it's obviously much
sometimes
nicer
it's inevitable.
Well, yeah, and like we heard time and time again, it's really nice for me to be able to go and have dinner with my partner, and then I can go and look at some stuff afterwards, and it just feels a lot more manageable than what some people were doing some of the time, which is before a deadline or something, they might be in the studio till quite late, and obviously we don't want that.
No, gosh, no.
But so the mental health side of it, some people have really that's been great.
Yeah, that's good to hear. It's so interesting coming into an agency of this size and seeing how you've all coped, really. I mean, one thing that I noticed during the pandemic, and obviously we all feel guilty saying, oh, it was actually quite good because it was our best year, or there was a silver lining, but there were for a lot of us. And you, I don't know whether it was 2021, and forgive me if I'm a bit rusty here on your sort of projects that have come out recently. I know we cover them on Creative Boom, but you did some work for Mindful Chef, which just did incredibly well during the pandemic, as a lot of us couldn't, in my case, couldn't get supermarket delivery slots or anything. So we just sort of thought, should we do some meal kits? That'll be fun. What should we get? And then I was like, okay, let's have a look. We'll look at HelloFresh. Don't like the branding. We'll go on this one. Don't really like it. Looks a bit rubbish. And then we sort of saw Mindful Chef. And I think the same week that we ended up getting it, I wrote the story for you guys.
Oh, right.
And I thought, yes, this makes sense. So we've been using them ever since and just can't get enough of them.
Amazing. The branding did its job.
Absolutely. Are you still working with them?
Not really, no. So we for these kind of projects, it tends to be. So we did their original brand.
Yes.
Back in, I think maybe about 2015.
Right. Okay.
And
feels like a long time ago.
And they were just a recipe box then.
Yeah.
And it was very focused on healthy food. So for fitness enthusiasts and people looking to lose weight and things like that. And then as they grew, their audience became much bigger. So we then did another project for them in, I think it was it 2020? beginning of 2020.
It might have been.
It feels like it was, where they'd reached a scale where they needed to talk to a much broader audience, and they were doing retail products and things like that as well. So you can now get them in Waitrose.
Wow.
So we helped set them up for that next phase of their growth.
So you basically gave them all the kind of visual brand identity kit that they neneeded. So all these lovely brochures we get through every week. And
so they do all that in-house.
Right.
So we created a system, and they've got an amazing in-house team.
Fab.
And they use all the sort of bits and pieces in the system that we created, and it works really well. And for companies where they've got that in-house team like that, that's a great solution.
Did they listen to you?
I think, did they listen? I mean, it was as with all these projects. That's when you're working with sort of teams that have got a level of scale to them. It has to be collaborative.
Yeah.
And as much as we have a really strong point of view, if they don't believe in that point of view, it's not going to work.
Yeah. So it's a bit of give and take.
Yeah, totally. And we want to create something that doesn't feel diluted by decision by committee.
Yeah.
So it needs to feel really single-minded, and a really single-minded idea and a single-minded system. But also it's important that everybody buys into that.
Yeah.
And at least everybody understands it. And
that's a lot of hard work.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard. But that's the fun bit, I think.
Yes.
It's like the building an argument to say this is the way to go, telling that story in a way that everyone can understand why you're saying that. And when you get people excited about that, it's a great feeling, and everyone's all in it together then.
It's a fantastic brand, and it's, I think, testament to their success. It's nothing to do with the founders, or I think it's all down to Ragged Edge.
None of them had any influence. Yeah, absolutely.
I love the brand voice, and that's something you say you're really kind of, you're very passionate about, that you spend a lot of time on words and writing. I love that, being a writer myself, and seeing that in the work reflected. And did I read it right that you actually sort of employ professional writers to sort of help bring these brands to life?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the things that has always bothered me about branding is that when people talked about branding, they were generally talking about like design. Yeah. And branding agencies were kind of just design agencies by another name. Yeah. And I think, even back when we were starting in brands like Innocent, like who were very much led by kind of tone of voice. Yeah, yeah. Brands aren't just visual systems. No. And so we've always cared about that writing. But even early on, we didn't hire writers, and like I would end up writing the copy, or the strategist would end up writing the copy, which I think is quite a common thing in certainly smaller branding agencies. Sure. And then when we started using writers, and we've got David, who's he's a creative director, but he heads up our copy team. He came
coffee
in.
Team.
Yeah, coffee team would be good. I wish we had a coffee team.
Just work with coffee brands.
I would love to have a coffee team. Oh. But no, David, who runs he came in, and he was an amazing writer. But what was brilliant about him is his sort of ability to work collaboratively as a creative. Yeah. And working with him, we built this system where the words have just as much of a role in the process as the pictures. Yeah. And so where we are now is we have a team of writers, and the writers play an absolutely fundamental part in the creation of the concept for the brand as much as for what it looks and sounds like. Yeah. And often, so much of our recent work, the concept will have come from a writer rather than a designer. That's fascinating. That was what I was going to ask next. What comes first, the writing or the visual cues, that kind of then creates the identity? I suppose it could be one or the other, but it could be either. So what we've tried to do, and hopefully it comes across with the work, is we've tried to make sure that everything has a really clear idea and a concept behind it. And that idea can come from anywhere. Yeah. At the early stage, once we've got the strategy defined, we'll then have a process where we'll try and come up with the concepts, and we'll come up with a range of concepts to present to the client. And those could start off as anything. They could start off as a headline. They could start off as a GIF, or a meme, or like literally anything. And then they start to get developed by the writers and designers and put shape. And
that must be so exciting. And then goes through a process, I suppose, based on the research that you've done of the customer. And speaking of which, how much research does an agency like Ragged Edge do on a typical brand identity project? How much sort of detail do you go into? Is it that you're sort of initially given a ton of white paper stuff by the client, and then you're sort of looking through it and realizing actually we need to build into the quote a complete research phase? Forgive my complete naivety. I've never worked at a design studio.
No, you're absolutely right, and because it depends.
Yeah.
So I think we always, in order to do our job to the right level and to have the right level of insight and thinking, we need to understand, I suppose, 4 things.
Yeah.
Like what's happening in culture and what are the changes that might be affecting this business from a broader cultural level. Sure. We need to understand the competitive space. Yeah. So what's changing in the category, what's missing, where is there space to play? We need to understand the audience. Yeah. And for us, that's often less about like demographics and how old someone is and where they live and what newspaper they read, which is kind of what it used to be. Yeah. And more about sort of attitudinal traits. Right. And we're trying to find a sort of almost like a tribe to speak to. Or a muse. And then the other thing we obviously have to understand is the actual business or the product in depth. And depending on the stage of the business, the nature of the client, they will have different levels of clarity around each of those 4 buckets. Right. And so we might do our own secondary research. So, looking, sitting at our laptops and trying to find stuff out on the internet or using trend reports and things. But we also might do some what we call primary research, which is going out and talking to people and interviewing customers, interviewing consumers. And just it really depends.
That just sounds like a ton of fun, even before you've kind of put a digital pen to whatever tools you use. I'm looking around for inspiration. Yeah. From the customer sort of tribes that you look for, you don't necessarily create a persona. It's more about looking at a tribe. So
yeah, we try and define them from an attitudinal perspective, so how they might feel about the product or the service. Right. And we'll kind of give them a name. Great. And we will build a bit of a, I suppose you could call it a persona, but it's very much less. It's not really about demographics.
Is the persona for Mindful Chef to, stunning, don't look like they're in their 40s, hot young things from Manchester who like to go out cycling and are so busy with their work?
Are we talking about you?
No. So busy with their work. They open the fridge up every night and it's empty and they're like, oh, what do you do?
You nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah. Hipsters.
Yeah.
Who'd have them? No, but seriously, I think it all shines through in all the recent projects that we've sort of, written about on behalf, of Creative Being. I think it is just so clear that it's the language that takes the sort of lead role, and it's all based around this kind of simple idea that, just by its simplicity, it's so strong. Yes. I'm not being a sort of fan here. When I sit here, I'm just genuinely think what you're doing, you're in a really good place. And it must just be so satisfying after having built something for 15 years and survived those 2, incidents, the economic crisis and a global pandemic. And yet here you still are. And everything seems to be sort of set up really well this year for another productive, despite everything.
Thank you. It's great. It's I think it all just does come down to the team. Yeah. And we've been lucky and also smart enough to assemble a team that really feel like they are incredibly talented in their own right. They work together really well together, and that just it just breeds more success. Mm-hmm. And so everything that we've had just feels like it's built from those initial few good decisions around the right people to bring in, and they brought more people in. And
totally about people. Yeah. If you don't in those early days get the right people around, surrounded you, take on the right team, then you're just going to be sort of treading water, aren't you?
Absolutely.
You've got to. Do you still go out and pitch, or have you sort of got to the point where people directly come to you and say, we just want to work with you, or is it a combination of both?
So it depends what you mean by pitch. So I think, like most people in the sort of branding world anyway, I think we've realised that pitching isn't really good for anybody in terms of free creative. So we don't do that at all.
Yeah.
And we would say no to that.
Great. So you don't believe in going out and doing, speculative...
Not speculative creative, no.
Because there's a lot of talk about that in the industry. People are saying, everybody needs to stop doing it because it's not fair. It's just basically free work and you go and spend all this time and energy. I mean, let me think about this. There's 30, 40 of you here now. How long would you have to dedicate? How many people would you have to dedicate to one pitch and how much time?
Yeah, I mean... You're doing the project, aren't you?
Pretty much. You're doing it all up front and then just wanting them to say, yes, let's go ahead. But, who's to say that company isn't going to sort of go away and take away your ideas, which happens.
Yeah,
it does.
I believe it does. That's never happened to us, actually. But I think for us, it's just about the integrity of the process and the integrity of the creative result. And because we work in such a way that everything is really based on insight, you can't really have that without doing the actual work for real and access to the client.
And do you say that to people who sort of get in touch and want you to sort of pitch? Do you say, well, actually, a lot of that, there would be no point in us pitching what we think would be right for you. It would be arrogant of us. It would be presumptuous. It would be naive, because actually 80% of the work is sitting down in the same room as you or on a Zoom call and saying, right, let's talk about your business. What problems are you facing? You have to be in at board level to be able to do a good job for a client.
Yeah, I do believe that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We do. Very occasionally someone will come to us and say, we want a creative pitch, and we'll say no, and we'll suggest some other ways of moving forward that might not be that, but still might give them a sense of how we might work. 99% of the time they will say, yep, that sounds great. There might be the occasional one where we just have to accept that probably if they want to sort of buy finished creative work, it's probably not going to be the right client anyway. Sure,
of course not. Not the right fit.
No, exactly. So, we don't really... In fact, we never creative pitch. I can't remember the last time we've done one.
That's great.
I think we did one during the pandemic, because we just felt like we needed to try and bring in the work, and we didn't win it.
No.
So.
You lost your confidence a little bit, probably. You were like, hang on, we've got to do it just in case.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's quite natural. Yeah. It's one of those dilemmas, and it's really nice to hear that you don't have to do that. And that's such a good idea. Just instead of saying, no, we don't pitch, instead saying, here's 3 other options available. That actually is a great way of saying, well, actually, these people are smart. And it's a great way to keep the conversation going and keep the door ajar slightly. And I suppose with you saying, no, you're not going to pitch, it'll just make them want you more, right? If you just believe in yourself and you stick to your values, that's something people want to buy into, rather than just ticking a box and, well, I'm the marketing manager of said brand and now I can just relax and get on with this other fire that I need to put out.
I think what we've really learned, and it took some learning and it took a degree of confidence as well, is that when people call you up and they've obviously been impressed by the work, and what they want is a level of conviction about how you'll get there.
Right.
And if you say, okay, this is how we'll do it, this is how we'll show you how we're going to work, this is how we'll give you a taste of what it's like to work with us. Again, 99 times out of 100, people feel really happy with that and glad that someone's given them a process that's going to get them the information that they need at the times they need it.
Sometimes the tools we use to be creative don't quite meet our needs. If you're a professional artist with an iPad, you'll be familiar with some of the limitations you face when trying to make art. Astropad Studio is something that will definitely be of interest. It's the ultimate iPad app that is designed to give the flexibility of an Apple Pencil combined with the full desktop power of software like Illustrator or Photoshop. Sound good? There's a 30-day free trial of Astropad Studio waiting for you today. Plus save 10% on your first year when you enter the promo code BOOM at checkout. That applies to whether you opt for a monthly or an annual subscription. Just go to astropad.com to get started. You'd think that marketing managers that the sort of, and it's not necessarily marketing managers, it can be anybody within a sort of really huge brand. You'd think that, and I'm not suggesting this is the case with your clients, they're all wonderful, of course.
They are wonderful,
but you would think that, you know, they would know a little bit about the process, but actually it always surprises me how much people don't understand design. And, you know, I'm an art and design journalist now, and I still don't understand all the ins and outs of it. And it's changed so much in 20 years. So
yes,
how could you be an expert if you're not completely immersed in that world and doing all the work that you're doing and adapting and changing? So, yeah, it's nice that you can sort of then show them, well, actually, this is how the process would work, and this is what you would get out of it at the end, and this is what we would recommend initially to get started. And then it's like, oh, it's a no-brainer. This is great. I can see a path.
And if they don't buy into that, then they're saying no for the right reasons.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's, you know, not every client is the right fit for every agency. And a big part of what we've tried to do over the past, 7 years or whatever, is try and narrow down who is right for us.
Yeah.
And so we've got a really very, very clear, internally and externally, a very clear sense of what the right client is.
Right.
We can figure that out very quickly.
Brilliant.
And often they will qualify themselves out. It might be budget, it might be approach, it might be point of view. There's lots of different reasons why.
Have you still got red flags that you sort of joke about in the office? I mean, I'm now asking questions I probably shouldn't. I'm being naughty.
We do. So when we're looking for a client to do the type of work that we want to do, we know that they need to sort of hit about 4 or 5 different points.
Right.
And if they don't do that, or if they say things that indicate that they might not be able to do that, then they're probably not right for us.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes a bit of bravery to. Because the worst thing that happens is when you get a client you really want to work for, or with, and this happened recently, where the brand that you've seen in the world is like, I would love to work with that client.
Oh, amazing!
But then when you speak to them and you hear about the challenge and you hear about the way they would like to approach it and
the budget,
and like you suddenly realise, okay, maybe this isn't right for us.
Yeah.
And those are the ones it's hard to let go, because in your mind you've got, but it's XX brand or
would
whatever it is.
Would look great on the portfolio.
Yeah. But it's probably in that case it's never going to make it to a case study, because it wouldn't be the right client. But those are the hard ones to let go.
That is tough. And I think it is tough for the design industry in general, isn't it? Because even if you do go ahead with that brand and it all starts off very exciting, there's a lot of promise, but whatever happens along the line, a lot of kind of pressure, a lot of politics get involved, and you're taken down a path that you wouldn't have really wanted to go with, but you kind of find a compromise, and then you sort of release what you've done for them, and it's not quite what you would have done.
Yeah.
You would have loved to have done this big singing and dancing thing over here, which was probably a better route for them, but it's just there's too many chiefs. I don't think you can say chiefs, but you know what I mean. There's too many sort of leaders,
isn't it? Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
And then the design industry goes, oh, that's rubbish. I would have personally done this. I would have put less text on the poster, and I just sort of sit back.
I like your voice for the design industry.
I'm just going to complain about everything. And I just sit back sometimes, and I'm just like, oh God, I'm so glad I'm not a graphic designer.
Yeah, it's I think that sort of knee-jerk hot take thing is a problem, and we don't, as an industry, like we really don't do ourselves service, because we all say, like, a brand isn't a logo.
Yeah.
But then as soon as a new logo comes out for a new company, there's like Twitter is ablaze with people telling you why it's the wrong logo and how they would have done it differently.
It's almost like somebody's just come in and said, we're all going to explode in 24 hours. It's just really funny. It's amusing. What's quite nice about Creative Boom is that because it's got, I would say, a very friendly.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Very friendly, inclusive feel about it, and it doesn't take itself too seriously. I think we managed to get that across in the sort of little eyes that follow you around.
Brilliant.
I love it, and so we've never really had too much of the same comments that you might find on other kind of platforms, which is really nice actually. And I think that's probably testament to us being very kind of actually we're supportive of the community here, so we're not going to take any kind of too much negativity. Constructive criticism, we'll allow that. But, there's always that fine line between, we're a publisher and we have to allow free speech. But if someone's being a dick, if I'm allowed to say that, and are just putting something completely pointless on, like, that shit, then they go in the bin. And we allow the team a certain amount of discussion. But there's this mothering kind of nurturing part of me that's like, oh, that agency is getting ripped to shreds. And sometimes I'll email the founder and say, yeah, there's a conversation going on LinkedIn. I think you might want to get involved. And they'll always come back and be like, oh yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
I think we're all, you get used to it very quickly. And I really like it. Like, part of me really likes it. Yeah. And
the discussion.
And I suppose, would you describe them as your competitors, but like brand new?
Oh, well, I don't know. I wouldn't know if I was in the same camp, really.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's very different, but they have a pretty lively comments.
Very respected.
Thing. Yeah, it's respected as a publication, but then the comments are pretty wild.
Wow.
But I find it really useful to read how people respond to it who don't, perhaps haven't understood the strategy or haven't understood what you're trying to do.
Yes.
Because that tells you something about the work.
Definitely.
And if it's not connecting to them, then it's good, maybe that matters, maybe it doesn't, but you always learn something from it.
Definitely. It's free kind of research, isn't it? Just there in front of you. And you can sort of either look at it and roll your eyes and go, ooh, the design industry again, or actually, have they got a point here? Are they sort of, they're giving away their kind of expertise for free, basically.
And even if they haven't got a point, you still learn something, because some people you're learning that some people will respond to the work like that, and that's useful.
Was there a project that you did that got a lot of bad feedback from the design community and you were gutted because you thought it was great, or is it just a sort of common thing with everything you do, or?
I don't think we've never been in a situation where we've really got caught in one of those where everyone's like piling on. We've never had that. I'm sure at some point we will.
Well, when you get much bigger.
Yeah. So there's a couple of projects we're doing at the moment, which is sort of they've got a profile that, if people didn't like the work,
oh gosh,
it would probably be a bit reasonably newsworthy. But I think. Have we got everything? We're always going for a bit of a reaction. Yeah. And I think the ones when we get disappointed is when the brand doesn't get a reaction.
Yeah.
And there have been a couple of projects where we've released that people didn't really just respond to positively or negatively.
Gosh.
In the way that we've wanted. They just didn't really respond.
So what do you think of that? Do you think they've just kind of, it's just gone over their heads, they didn't think it was interesting, or
I think
maybe it was just a busy week for everyone?
I think it's maybe. I think there are lots of factors, but I think it's that the work didn't cut through as much as it might have done, and I think you learn from that. And we've definitely learned a lot when we published. So we take our sort of case studies quite seriously.
Yeah.
And when one doesn't catch fire, there's always a reason for it.
Yeah.
And it's good to learn from that. And often it will be because it just hasn't caught the imagination, because it's not distinct enough, it's not different enough, there's not as much of an idea behind it.
Yeah.
We didn't present it in a way that people could understand it easily enough.
Yeah.
So you always learn something from it.
Yeah, definitely. And talking about the industry in general, you're surrounded by amazing, talent.
Yep.
There's so many design studios in London. Mm-hmm. How do you cope with that, knowing that there's this huge pool of competition in such a concentrated area? Knowing what the creative industries is like, it's very competitive. Loads of work to go around. But how do you cope with that? Is it something that kind of keeps you awake at night, or do you just kind of say, well, actually, I'm just going to focus on the work and focus on making Ragged Edge better and better and better?
I think that it's great.
Yeah.
It's good for the industry.
Yeah.
We tend to think of it as in a global perspective. So most of our clients have got a kind of bit of a global footprint now.
Yeah.
And so we're thinking about agencies globally rather than just in London.
Oh God! So you don't just have to worry about London; you're worrying about San Francisco, New York.
Yeah, you got it. But I think it's amazing because they drive you on. And if you see a project that's, for example, like even Australia, so someone like For the People who are doing some amazing work.
They really are.
Yeah, incredible. And you see that project and you go, okay, that's a new benchmark.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, so we've got to do better than that. And I think that is what's brilliant about this kind of international community now, where you can, all this work gets surfaced that, when I started it, you might see it in a book 2 years after it had come out.
Yeah.
Whereas now you see it instantly, don't you?
Oh, it's just incredible. Yeah, you really do. Well, yeah, you do. Yes. And so if that's the case, then does it matter where your staff are based? Is the pool for talent even bigger now? Or would you employ somebody working from their bedroom in San Francisco?
So what we need to work internationally.
Yeah.
So we feel like we need an international understanding, and we need a diverse set of influences, which means bringing people in that aren't necessarily just from London with the same backgrounds and things. So what we've tried, but we also think the best work will be done by one single-minded studio with lots and lots of focus, and that having people all over the world or satellite studios and things, just you lose that focus.
Yeah.
So for us, it's about like a single studio, but then we might hire people from. So you spoke to Alex earlier. She's come from New York. She was working at Collins. She's come over from New York. Yeah, hopefully. And that's our approach.
Yeah.
We think it's, and again, this is just for us, but we think it's important that people can come to the studio.
Yeah.
Because that's where the culture is. And that's where when people come physically together, that's where we feel like we're at our best.
So there's no plans to sort of open up different studios all over the world?
We would never rule it out. And people keep saying like when. For us, we just know that if we did that, it would be you would end up diluting what we've got here.
Yeah.
And I've seen other agencies do that and that happen.
Yeah.
And so we believe at the moment that like one single studio, like bringing the best talent we can and having real focus gives us a chance of doing the best work.
That's really interesting. That's fantastic. And just hearing you throughout this whole discussion, I've realised that you're very observant and you pick up on different things and you learn from your own mistakes, but definitely from mistakes that are being made elsewhere. Did you spend a lot of time in the sort of pandemic doing a lot of reflecting and thinking, okay, so we've got a bit more time here. How can we make Ragged Edge even more brilliant? How can we look after our people? How can I look after myself? I mean, you know what it's like to run an agency such as this. Do you ever get time to?
The pandemic was not that time for me.
Okay.
It is probably the least reflective I've ever been because it was so full on.
All hands on deck.
Yeah, and again, everybody's different, but personally for me, I found that fully remote way of working just mentally just didn't work for me. I needed to be around people.
Oh, bless.
But yeah, I mean, I do obviously now, and try and spend a lot of time. We think take a step back.
Yeah. And
what do we want to try and achieve
now that you can breathe again? And it's like, whew.
Yeah.
Right. Where are we? Where are we up to? We've had a good couple of years despite everything. And,
yes.
And what next?
Absolutely. And trying to be and the team here, because we've hired very, very talented people.
Yeah.
They all want to see that ambition.
Yeah.
And they're not here just to mess around. They were here because they want to be doing the best work of their lives. And they need to see that the agency is moving forward and that we're pushing and we're getting better and we're learning and that we're going to make them as people, as designers or writers or strategists better. And so we have to keep
there's a lot of pressure
getting better too. Yeah, but it's good pressure. Yeah, that's what we want.
Do you thrive off it?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah,
I'd hate to feel that we've cracked it. It'd be hard to get up in the morning if you just felt you'd done it. And you just sort of plateaued.
Well, this is the great thing about running an agency like this. There's just always something else to focus on next. There's always a way to keep on improving. There's always that next big client. It's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. It is exciting. And I think I think, so you talked about like a culture and things, and one of the things that we find most important is that everyone who comes here has got like, maybe it sounds cheesy, but like a bit of a growth mindset.
Yeah.
And is here to
Makes
learn
sense.
and here to get better.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. You keep sort of, you've also got like this, sixth sense, you know what I'm going to ask you next. And that was what I was going to ask. It was like, if somebody wanted to work here, what do you look for? And it's that growth mindset, keen, eagerness. I want to learn. I want to get better. I want to be part of this culture.
Yeah, it really is. And I think that comes from, we know that works because that's how we got here. And when we started, you've heard the beginning of the story, we didn't know what we were doing. And like, I wouldn't get a job. I wouldn't get a job at Ragged Edge now. I would not hire me.
No, well, I wouldn't have hired me now, to be honest. But then we're all different, aren't we? We all go on our own little paths. And,
yes.
And it's by going through those experiences that you realise that actually you're better off doing your own thing. And whether it's running a creative magazine or, running a studio in London and taking over the world without actually taking over the world. Yeah. that's just
Farringdon, yeah.
It's great to hear. So what's next for you? What is the kind of next big challenge?
So I think we have it's a good time to ask that, actually, because we've been spending some time trying to articulate some agency objectives.
Nice.
And actually make them like sort of smart objectives, so objectives that we can actually measure ourselves against, which is quite hard in the creative world.
That is really tough. Well, a little bit like 360.
Kind of, yeah. So we've tried to look at, and we've not finished these yet. We're working on them. But so maybe when people are listening to this, hopefully we will have finished them. But across every part of the business, just make sure we've got some clarity in terms of what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah,
it's really hard. Soon we will have those. So I'll be able to give you a very specific, timely, attainable, and all whatever the other smart things objectives. But I think we've got a few things coming up. We've got to change studio, and part of that is, so when we moved into this studio here 7 years ago, that was a bit of an inflection point for us. Yeah. And it took everybody came in, and we moved to this sort of grown-up studio.
Yeah, I was going to say, I always like to find out what was, how many studios you've had, and what was the sort of first one you had compared to the one now. And is this only your second?
No, we've actually the meeting room that you're sitting in, we named each of our meeting rooms after our studios. Oh. So we're on number 3 at the moment. So we had one in Mayfair, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah. We shared it. To start with, we shared it with another company.
Great.
There were 4 of us in total. So 2 at Ragged Edge and 2. Good
grief. Who was the other company?
It was an events company called Lucid.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Oh, I've heard of Lucid, yeah.
Yeah. And they, so that was great. Then we outgrew that, and we moved just above Paul Smith in Covent Garden. Nice. Which was amazing, but it was just kind of rickety place with Gus the mouse.
I think I remember you being in there.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was felt like a very much, we were all on top of each other. We all worked around this just one big desk, and it was great fun.
I bet it was fun.
Yeah, and then this one was a bit of a sort of, okay, we're going to take this seriously now.
Well, you've grown up, haven't you, with the agency? You're in your 40s now, and the agency's, 15 years old? So you started this in your 20s?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, but it was fun in the early days.
It was very different, yeah. It was fun.
Lots of nights out.
Yes. Yeah. It was,
that would have been
lots
great.
Lots of people sleeping on the floor and things like that in the studio. It was
fab. It's these are the stories I would only be able to get out of you if we went for a pint afterwards.
Yes, I mean, you talk to some of the team here who are still there from those early days.
Really? That's a really good sign. You're doing something right. If people are still here after 15 years, that's, wow, I'm impressed.
Yeah, so Luke, who's a creative director here, he wasn't our first employee, he was our second employee, and he's still here.
Wow. You have to tell me all your secrets.
Yeah, he's we have to ask him for his secrets, I think.
Why are you still here?
He took a year to go around Australia and came back.
Oh gosh, you just gave him a little bit of a kind of break.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and brought a whole load of new stuff for us to learn.
Brill. What did he work as he went?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he sort of did a tour of all the best studios mainly in Sydney.
Because there's some great there's a great scene out there as well, isn't there?
Yeah, fantastic.
Which you'll undoubtedly be competing with.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, we when he was there, he ended up bringing back a load of designers. So we had a really good line in like. How
on earth did he do that? Hey, come and leave the sunshine. Come over to rainy London.
Weirdly, people want to do it. Yeah.
Wow, that's really lovely to hear. And so here we are, 15 years later. Which meeting room is this called?
So this is Langley, which is was our Covent Garden one, Langley Court. It was called.
Right.
Yeah. And the next one to be confirmed.
To be confirmed, which we cannot talk about.
Yeah. Well, I wish we could, but I don't know where it is yet. We haven't.
Haven't found the right place.
No.
Wow. Okay, that's exciting.
Yeah, it's quite scary.
Well, yeah, scary because I suppose it's going to be more expensive.
Yes. Yeah, it will definitely be more expensive. Bigger is a plan, but it's sort of quite hard to. It's quite hard to make a plan for that because the world of work is, in a state of flux at the moment.
Yeah.
And so being able to plan, we perhaps have to sign a 5-year lease. Planning 5 years in advance now is quite challenging, and you have to make some quite big bets.
Yes, it's a big risk.
Yeah. And, there's no good, 12 months away deciding that, actually, the world needs to go fully remote now. We're a remote agency when you've just signed a...
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Everybody's sort of holding their breath a little bit at the moment, I feel. We're going through that moment where we're sort of walking into places or about to leave the house. Do I need a mask? Do I need to do... Yeah, let's take a mask. Or do I need to do this? How do we do... And it's just... Yeah. We're all kind of... I feel like 2020... No
certainty, is there?
Yeah. There's no consistency across various things, so it's very, very strange time indeed. I feel like 2023, hopefully, fingers crossed. Hate that I say that. Everybody's saying that. Hopefully, when things return to normal.
For a while, haven't we?
I'm just exhausted by it. I just want us to be normal again and look each other's faces. No, I don't want to do that. That was very inappropriate. So this is like this. This feels like you've kind of reached a point where you've built something you're very proud of, and it's just like the next chapter now, and anything's possible, and you're starting on a really strong footing. So you shouldn't really have anything to worry about, really.
It's definitely one way of looking at it. Yeah, it's. I think you have to have a certain level of trepidation. Like you have to feel the nerves because that's what keeps you focused. And I think whatever we do, any 5-year commitment or anything, but like it's an expensive lease on a studio space definitely makes you focus.
Yes, yeah, and with all these amazing people as well, you just do they feel like family?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. I mean, they do. It's an amazing thing to be part of, and I think we, Matt and I both feel just like incredibly lucky to have got this team, which, they're what's the result of all the work you see is them. It's not us.
And do you think, because you say that you do all of this and you work really hard and you handle the stress very well because life would be boring if you didn't have all
wouldn't necessarily say I handle the stress very well.
Oh, do you not? Oh, right. How do you handle it well?
I mean, it's peaks and troughs. Some things you get really worried about, don't you?
Of course you do.
It costs you sleep and things like that, and definitely the pandemic was like that. I've definitely got better at it though as I've got older. Yeah.
Do you feel like you've built more resilience in recent years than before? Because I certainly feel that way. I feel like my confidence crashed a couple of years ago. And funny enough, one of the reasons why I started this podcast was so I could build my confidence again.
Okay.
Various things had happened personally, so I was like, right, I'm going to do something that I love doing, put myself out of my comfort zone and just see what happens. Here I am,
That
70.
was a decision worth making, wasn't it?
It was terrifying. I mean, all I'm doing is putting a podcast in front of a really nice person and having a conversation. But even so, you're putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
And, the industry as it is, it's quite intimidating coming into studios like this on your own with a big, ugly backpack and sort of bossing people around and telling them to sit still and, all the rest of it. But
you do an amazing job at it. It's
Thank you. Oh, well, I really enjoy it. And I think if you enjoy something, then the rest kind of falls into place. So that's the long point I'm trying to make. It's like I've built confidence through this, and then the pandemic happened, and obviously all the kind of stress and anxiety of all of that and the uncertainty, which I found, for me, the uncertainty was like the most distressing thing. But for the most part, I feel like I've built this really strong foundation now. I'm still quite a shy person. That's not something I can ever get away with. I'll have friends listening to this who are rolling their eyes like, she's not shy at all.
I'm not sure I believe either.
Well, I'm a gentle character, and I just think I'm empathizing with what you're saying, because it's just been a really tough time. So I can't imagine, and I have barely any kind of responsibilities other than the platform and the writers and the kind of advertising team, my husband.
That sounds a lot to me.
Yeah, but it's not, I don't have office space anymore, and I don't have 40 staff. And I'm just probably not helping here now. I'm probably making you feel more anxious.
You are a bit. No, I think it's like everybody has their own things that are going on and affecting them every day, don't they? And I think it's always the biggest mistake I make is assuming that everyone else is wandering around and everything's perfect in their worlds and they're happy and they're confident and they're...
God, no. No, they're not. And it's I think the more that you can just sort of lean into the fact that we're human and everybody else is, and, so when you do go and do that pitch or, talk to the whole team when you're about to move and you're celebrating leaving this space, or me walking into Ragged Edge on my own after 2 years of not seeing anyone, you just got to say to yourself, we're all just human and we're all just figuring things out as we go along. And it was so reassuring when I told you before that I've been doing this for 13 years and I feel like I know nothing. I'm only just getting started. And you were saying something similar about you. Well, you didn't say you knew nothing, but you felt like you were just getting started. And that is, in one way, it's obviously reassuring to people who are listening to this, but it's also exciting because it just means that any of us can go and do something exciting and interesting and take risks and still find ourselves 20 years down the line really enjoying what we're doing. It's not easy. You could opt for the easier route. You could have just gone and worked at another studio, plodded along, but you tried that and it wasn't you. Yeah,
and I think what's amazing now that perhaps we didn't have is because of things like social media, which, there are pros and cons.
Yeah, Twitter.
But there is obviously, there's opportunity everywhere, isn't there?
Yeah. Yeah.
And, I see it, and there's new studios and new designers and new talent just appearing all over the place, and you can work all over the world and you can work with people all over the world. And there's so much less in the way now than perhaps when you and I started.
Yeah.
It does feel more accessible. And
it does.
I think people who are starting out, like they just have to understand that, there is opportunity, that not everybody knows everything.
Yeah.
And everybody has their own, self-doubt and lack of conviction about certain things. And,
oh, gosh, yes.
Yeah, it's not that you're coming out into this world and everyone else is fully formed.
Not just because you're sort of in your early 20s and you've just graduated, or maybe you've just left school. Yeah. Just because I look like I'm in my 40s, I have no idea what I'm doing. And that's the big secret.
Yeah.
I think we're probably putting ourselves down a little bit here, Max. We have learned a lot and we've got a lot of skills and experience and we both look really good in burgundy. That is really nice. That is reassuring. And for anyone else who's listening to this, who's just sort of nodding along and going, thank you for telling us that, Max, because we really love Ragged Edge and the work that's coming out of the studio. That makes us feel, warm and reassured. What else would you say to people out there? Bearing in mind what you were like when you were sort of starting out in the working world, what advice would you give to these people who are just getting going?
I think everybody is struggling. So, like, please don't think that that's just you. And, you know, certainly from my own experience, if there's one thing that I could change going back, it would be to just have a bit more confidence and to not be so hard on myself.
Yeah.
Because I've learned now that, you know, everybody was struggling the same things that I was struggling.
Yeah.
And I think that the thing that people, when we speak to sort of emerging talent, one of the things that they sometimes feel, which feels really wrong to me, is they feel this pressure to conform to the way that, you know, make my portfolio look a certain way, speak a certain way, talk about the work in a certain way.
Wear a black t-shirt.
Yeah. And what is amazing now, and this really has changed and it's such a positive development, is that people are aware of, like, agencies, people like myself who are hiring talent know the power of people that are different.
Yeah.
And really looking for points of difference and different ways of thinking and, you know, diverse backgrounds, diverse points of view.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff that I hope that people can feel really confident showing their personalities and showing what's different about them and their different life experiences, which it just wasn't really a thing a few years back.
It wasn't back when we graduated.
No. And I think it's people, if I could help people do one thing, it would just be really confident in what is different about you.
Yeah. What's your story? Yeah. What's your voice?
Yeah. And really celebrate that. And it's amazing. I sort of, you know, we do some sort of portfolio reviews and we do like mentor a few people, and it's amazing how that is their instinct is to hide the things that are different. Yeah. Yeah, because they probably think it's not something that people want to see, but actually the quirks, the kind of characteristics, it's like that TV show on Apple TV Plus at the moment. What is it called? Severance. Yes. Have you seen that? I've seen the first couple of episodes, yeah.
Yeah, so all of these characters are just very broken. Yeah. But there's something so wonderful about them, you know, so something so honest and true and something we can all relate to. And yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Just be yourself.
Yeah. And like the world is now, certainly in our industry, has woken up to the value of that. Yeah. And I think it's a really cool development.
Yeah, it's very cool. Do you think that is reflective of, do you feel like it's part of this bigger thing? Because, like, I'm not going to put words into your mouth. It's just interesting. I've got my own point of view on this, but do you feel like we're on the verge of something really wonderful? Do you think we're going through like a massive cultural shift that...
Yeah, I mean, it feels to me, and perhaps this is my slightly sort of pessimistic way of looking at the world, that it's kind of constantly like teetering the balance, isn't it? And it could go one way or the other.
Oh my goodness.
But there are definitely some like hugely positive developments, and I think that you know, that old world and the old guard is just no more now. Yeah. And I think particularly in our industry, like we haven't got all the answers. No. We definitely haven't solved all the problems by any stretch of the imagination. But I think, and you'll know this much better than I because you're speaking to people in the creative industry all the time, that people have woken up to it.
Yeah, they have.
And they know the power of it. Yeah. It's not just, it doesn't feel like something that it doesn't feel like box ticking anymore.
No.
It feels like people have woken up to the power of authenticity and difference and diversity, not just as things that we talk about and but as things that we really believe in, as making a difference to the work. And yeah, I think that's amazing.
Oh, it was so lovely coming in and speaking to you, Max.
I think, well, likewise.
Yeah, I think it's just, I feel like, yeah, I always say this to everyone, but I just love talking. I just think that there's so much yet to achieve here, and it's just it's been such an honour to come in and see you at this exciting time.
Oh, well, thanks for coming in. It's, you know, we all here like love the what do you call it, platform, Creative Boom.
Yeah.
And
podcast, magazine.
Yeah, I think this, you know, we're talking about positivity. That positivity is the industry needs it. Yeah. And so I think what you bring to that is just so great.
Thank you.
And the positivity, the accessibility, the inclusiveness, all that stuff that we've kind of been talking about.
Yeah.
I think, you know, Creative Boom is the a real a standard bearer for that.
Yeah.
And it's, you can see it making a difference every day. It's amazing.
I hope so. That's the passion.
Yeah.
Do something wonderful, and so you can look back on your life one day and say, well, that was nice.
Yeah, definitely. I've definitely done that.
We definitely share that in common as well. We, because we started off in the corporate world and then realised there was something potentially more meaningful, and here we are. So, yeah, I can't wait to see what you do next.
Oh, well, likewise.
If you'd like to learn more about Max Ottignon, go to our show notes via creativebeam.com/podcast. It's where you can also support us by hitting subscribe. We're on all the major directories from Apple Podcasts to Spotify. Thanks again to our sponsor, Astropad Studio, the ultimate iPad app for professional artists. If you're ready to take your creative workflow to the next level, you can start your 30-day free trial of Astropad Studio right now, plus save 10% on your first year when you enter the promo code BOOM at checkout. Just go to astropad.com. Next up, I'll be speaking with Elliot J. Stocks, a creative director currently working with Google on Fonts Knowledge, a library of original guides to the world of typography.